Hey everybody. So it wasn't that long ago I uploaded a video to YouTube. It was the swapping hardware in two desktops, or two builds, whatever, part 3. And in that part, I ended up throwing together a custom water cooling loop, and for the fasteners I used the lovely old zip ties. And there's a lot of speculation out there amongst PC builders whether zip ties are really the way to do it or not. A lot of people think, oh, it's a really bad idea, whereas others say it's fine. So we'll go ahead and start out with just looking at the water cooling loop on the Mid-Tower Lux here. So this water cooling loop has been in service for 5 years. The Mid-Tower Lux has been custom water cooled since 2011, so this machine has been water cooled for 12 years. And in all those years, the water cooling loop, which has used the same radiator and same reservoir, has been put together, at least kind of similar to how it is right now. A combination of course, the CPU water block, the radiator, which is a custom job. That radiator there used to be some sort of automotive AC evaporator. I found it in the old stock in my grandpa's shed a long time ago, and my dad fitted on these bar fittings, that way I could attach hoses right to it. But it's always been the way you see it here. I use, of course, for my elbows I actually use 1/2-inch PEX fittings, and I use I think it's just 3/8 vinyl tubing. It's been this way for many years and it's been reliable. So, and you can see I'm using zip ties to fasten the hoses onto the barbs. So, the fact is, and this is really my opinion, I shouldn't say fact. So, here's my opinions on the matter. It really depends on how tight of a fit your hose has, just a dry fit, without any sort of clamps. These PEX fittings get a super tight fit onto these vinyl tubes because the inner diameter of the tube has to stretch out way more than its regular inner diameter to get over the fitting. So once it's on there, it's really tight on there, and it's a pain in the butt to get them off, because I'm going to tell you, when I rebuilt this system back in late 2017, I can tell you it was crazy trying to get those things off, because I did reuse those PEX fittings, those brass PEX fittings. Of course, the PC water cooling system is a low pressure system. It's not like a high pressure like what you have in your car. Now, of course, you look at your car, you're going to have these really strong spring clamps, or sometimes you'll have screw-on clamps that have like the built-in screw. It uses a screwdriver to actually tighten down. I think those are actually called band clamps. So you'll have either those, or you have the big, hard to deal with spring clamps. Now, there are actually a smaller version of those clamps, and you'll typically find those on like fuel line and things like that. And since this tubing here is very similar to fuel line in size, I've seen the same style of clamps used. Particularly, they'll be supplied with certain things. Like, for example, the Syscooling SC300T pump came with those spring clamps. But the thing is, though, the spring clamps can only provide so much tension. And not saying that the zip ties would win the battle between tension strength, but I mean, for a PC, you're dealing with something that's definitely low pressure. And I'm not much a fan of the idea of having metal clamps anywhere near like the motherboard or the video card or things like that. Now, if the pump is somewhere inside the system away from circuit boards and things like that, sure, you can probably go ahead and use some metal clamps. I think they do make nylon clamps, but I mean, we're talking about plastic. And of course, well, the zip ties are plastic too, but I mean, I've looked online and researched what people's opinions are on this, and it's really a mixed bag. Some people prefer to use legit hose clamps, while others prefer to use zip ties because they simply work for their needs. And that's kind of the case here. The zip ties have actually worked fine for my needs. And generally, I install 2 of them on every fitting. Now, I didn't actually install two on the CPU block, but I probably should. I probably should have. But then again, this system has been running 24/7 for 5 years, and it hasn't had any issues with leaks inside the system or outside the system. I mean, it's been dang reliable. Now, of course, I understand that some people, when they build their water cooling loops, they use exclusively stuff that you can buy from Newegg or Amazon or like Frozen PC, sites like that. Or, no, excuse me, Frozen CPU is the actual site. My system is really a combination of both Lowe's stuff and stuff from Amazon. I mean, now this pump here, or excuse me, the reservoir, came off of a water cooling loop that I got in a parts computer back in early 2011. That's when I ended up water cooling the mid-tower Lux with a custom loop. For a few months before that, it had a Corsair H50 all-in-one. And see, the thing is, nowadays you have the option of the all-in-ones, which I question the reliability. In a future video, we'll be actually opening up a all-in-one to service it, and I think it might be something interesting to share. I may share a video of that. But should you decide to go the DIY route, I mean, sometimes you may want to do it on a budget. I mean, for example, the pump up there is an SC600, which I paid less than $30 for back in early 2018, and it's been running non-stop for 5 years, been very reliable. So let's say if you're on a budget, or if you simply don't have enough clamps. Personally, I think zip ties will work just fine, provided you get them nice and tight. The way I tighten them down is I use needle nose pliers. So I tighten them down by hand, and then I use the pliers to help pull out additional tie. And I kind of do it in a twisting motion, but you got to be careful not to do it too hard, otherwise you'll break the zip tie. But when you do that, you can get these things down really nice and tight. And when you, and for example, when the hose already has a tight fit across the barb or fitting, I mean, it's very high chance you're not going to have any issues. So when it comes to doing a water cooling loop, I mean, it's kind of a make your own call whether you use legit hose clamps or if you just use zip ties. I mean, again, when you look up on the internet, it's kind of a mixed bag of opinions. Some people prefer the zip ties, other people prefer to get legit hose clamps. So anyways, feel free to leave your opinions down in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Well, everybody, that wraps it up for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to Cube Computer channel, and be sure to tick the bell, that way you get notified of new video posts. Also, I recommend following Cube Computer Company on Facebook. A link is in the video description. In addition to computer tech videos, I have a second channel, CubeCompMTDX. Links are available at the end of this video. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching and your support.